The Peskin Report is sponsored by High and Happy Catering out of Springfield, Massachusetts. Their chef, Michael Best, can cook anything you want with or without being infused with cannabis. Check out some of what they make on their Instagram at High and Happy Catering or call them at 413-785-8999. You'll be happy you did.
Welcome to the Pesky Report, a podcast for Red Sox fans. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Pesky Report. This is episode number 113. My name is Brad Chandler, and with me today, I have my co-host, Ed. How are we doing today?
Oh, I'm great. I'm real excited to be here.
I can only guess why. We have a special guest today. A dude with like probably one of the sweetest stashes I've ever seen. We have Kole Cottam, who is the catcher for the Portland Sea Dogs. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know Ed is like extremely excited to have you on. He is our prospects guy, and he knows a lot about the minor league systems and a lot of the players there. And he was really excited when you were like, "Yeah, I'll come on." And not saying I wasn't excited, but I think I'm more excited with the fact that that sweet stash there.
No, I appreciate it.
So I'll start off with some questions for you, and then I'm going to throw it over to Ed so he can ask you more of your like career and things like that. But I was reading over your Sox prospects profile and noticed that you had an attachment with the number 13. We talked a little bit before we started recording. You no longer wear the number 13 now, but you have an attachment with 13. Give us a little explanation on why.
Absolutely. I've worn the number since middle school, high school, and on, even college. Growing up, I was born with a nevus, congenital nevus around my right eye. So it was something I had to have removed over time. And so I ended up having 13 surgeries on the skin, basically skin grafts and everything around my eye and everything. So it was just a number that just holds a very special place in my heart. And and it always will. So it was an unbelievable experience getting to wear that all growing up and everything. And obviously, now in the minor leagues, we constantly switch numbers and everything. And a lot of people have that number, and it's special to them too. But it's something that I can kind of always hold close to me and look at.
Now, are you a tattoo person?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't have any.
I was going to say you should probably get that tattooed. So, another question I got for you: baseball being the sport that you play and you're a catcher and whatnot, is baseball, has that always been your sport, or do you have like a favorite sport outside of baseball?
I think kind of like the trend for most baseball guys right now, golf is pretty much is the number two, especially playing. It's something we can play outside of baseball, and my brother's a golfer, so all my best friends back home growing up, they all golf. So it's something I love playing now. Growing up, I played all the big sports, basketball, football, hockey, even played hockey for a long time. So growing up, I just played any sport that I could. I think that was really important to me and something that made me who I am today. And so being able to go to the backyard and go to the neighborhood lot and play and just have to worry about what time it got dark and what time dinner was. So that's something I really enjoyed. And but I'd say right now, definitely golf. That's something I try to play as much as I can.
So was baseball your number one growing up?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question about that.
Who was your team?
You're not gonna like it. I grew up a Toronto fan, so
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it's interesting. My dad's from Toronto, right outside Toronto, so kind of grew up Maple Leafs guy, Blue Jays guy, so followed them a lot growing up.
Okay, that explains. I mean, that'll explain the reason why you're a Blue Jays fan from Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly, right, exactly. I think you had the proximity to the Braves and the Reds. I think out of that, the Braves were probably the closest. I've probably been to the. I was at Turner Field when it was there, and then obviously Truist now and everything. So it was kind of those were the games I went to the most, and just try to watch the Toronto games as much as I could.
So, who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it's tough to go against Yadier Molina. I know not a Jays guy, but man, that guy is a special player, and I think just watching what he does every year for so long is very special.
Now, speaking of Yachty, uh, it was just announced today that Pujols just came back to the Cardinals. Well, what do you think about the trio? You got Wainwright, Pujols, and Yachty all together
I mean,
again.
what a way to go out for Pujols. I think I know he kind of I think it was announced he's retiring after this year,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I mean those are the iconic three from St. Louis that that have been seems like they've been around for as long as I've been watching baseball. But I think it's going to be a special year hopefully for them, and it's really looking at it from an outside perspective as a fan at that point. I think it's something really 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 special.
We're obviously we're Red Sox fans, and when it was announced that Pujols was coming back to the Cardinals, it's literally something that we were just like, awesome. Thank you, Cardinals. Like, this is probably the best thing you've ever done.
Absolutely, just a storybook ending to a Hall of Fame career.
We already have a comment in about your stash.
Oh, I appreciate
That
it.
stash is seriously big league ready. I agree. This one might be a little bit tough, but what are your thoughts on the way that baseball has been trending in recent years, like with analytics and like you got the shift, people aren't bunting as much, they're not stealing bases as much. I also have to ask you another question after this, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's absolutely a place for analytics in the game. I think, everybody's goal right now is to try to help their team win. I think right now there's so many people behind the scenes working very hard for their organization. So I think although analytics looks kind of black and white when a fan or somebody looks at it, there's so much that goes into it on the back end that makes it what it is. So I think, as far as the shift and everything, I think it's interesting. I can definitely see it both ways. As a catcher, I see it one way, hitter a different way. But at the same time, it's what I go back to of your team's trying to do whatever you can to win the game. So I think at that point, you take what the what the analysts say, what the analytics actually say, but then at the same time, you got to go out there and play and just trust your eyes, trust the feelings. And I think there's an equal balance between the two. I think when everyone tries to get on the field, but at the end of the day, you're the one that goes out and plays. Your team's the one that goes on the field. So I think at that point, it's kind of just trust the gut at that on that.
Just expanding on that, how much do analytics in your role as a catcher? How much like in your preparation? How much do you utilize those?
Tremendously. I think the use of analytics is as a catcher, pitching, everything. Scouting reports, how you call a game, how you set up certain hitters. It's a big help and a big advantage. I think so it's kind of something that everyone's kind of gotten used to over the years, and I think now everyone's kind of getting an easier swing of it. But it honestly is very helpful and it's very informative. And at the same time, use that. You take as much data as you can, but then when you step into the box, get on the field, you kind of use what you've learned, use what you've practiced and everything. But then you got to trust your eyes and kind of feel it out for the game.
So I want to say it was about a month ago, it was reported that Villanova was using watches to give their pitchers, actually all 9 players, the signs of what they want the pitcher to throw and whatnot. As a catcher, how does that change? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because as a catcher, you're the guy who's typically, you're throwing the signs down. Granted, you're probably getting the signs from your coach still, but like you're still throwing the signs down. What are your thoughts on something like that coming into professional baseball?
That's interesting you say that. So I think the other day, I believe Tampa Bay was using the PitchCom. I don't know, it'd be an audio system. So basically what happens is the catcher presses a button on his wristband, and the pitcher and catcher hear, if you press a button, it says slider away or fastball middle. And there's 5 allowed on the field. So, a shortstop could get it, a second baseman could get it. It's an interesting system. I think, there's a lot of pros and cons to it, but something that is kind of being, experimented with in spring training for potential use at some professional level. It's interesting, though, that using the watches and everything, I think as a catcher, when you're calling a game, you are hoping that you're on the same page with everybody, but everybody up the middle, second base, shortstop, even center field sometimes can see the sign. So it's like, they kind of can get their break, jump, like pre-pitch stuff based on the pitch you've called. So it is interesting. I think it's something that it's different. So I think everyone would have to get used to it a little bit. I'm not really for or against it in any capacity, but I do think it's something interesting coming to the game.
Do you think that that's something that we'll see in games, like in professional games and MLB soon?
Like I said, they were kind of working with it in spring training. Tampa Bay was specifically, we all kind of messed around with it. I don't know if it's approved yet or anything. At the time, they're using it. We're allowed to use it in spring training, but I think at some level it would be introduced at some point. But it's kind of, you weigh the pros and cons. You kind of get the bugs out of it and everything, and kind of see the best possible product to put out there.
Okay. So outside of catching, you're a catcher, obviously. What position did you want to play?
I mean, I don't know what baseball player there would be that didn't want to play shortstop at one point, but I kind of grew out of that position. Maybe not the most fleet of foot to play short, but outside of catcher, probably first base, third base, something like that.
So we had an old Red Sox catcher on, Ryan Lavarnway. We had him on about a month ago, and his one goal is to steal one base. And as a major leaguer, how many bases have you stolen?
Man, definitely enough to count on one hand. So it's something that I am working on. So we'll see what happens this year. I'm hoping putting the over under maybe 4.5 or something, but that's pushing it. I think I probably have 3 or 4 career in professional baseball right now, but something I'm working on.
So I live near Hartford. So when you guys come to Hartford, I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to be like, steal a base.
All right. And when I do steal a base, I'll look right up at you and point at you. So,
all right. You won't know where I am. So, as a catcher, is there one pitcher in your lifetime, like actually in your lifetime or before, that you would have wanted to catch?
Oh, that's a good one.
Pedro's always a good answer.
That's what I was going to say. I was thinking of Pedro. I mean, some of the pitches, some of the stuff he does on a mound, it's unbelievable. There really is so many to think about, actually. But Pedro's probably a good default answer there.
I mean, Pedro, Randy Johnson, Schilling. Yeah, you really do
Roger
have a lot
Clemens
of
even back.
Clemens,
yeah. So there is quite a bit, but even like Glavine, Seaver, all those guys, kind of, it'd be interesting to see kind of the difference. But I mean, they certainly are incredible players. So.
When you're at the big league camp, I'm guessing you're catching with every pitcher there, so that if you have to get called up, they kind of know what to expect, and you know what to expect. But do they have you? Is it kind of almost like they put you equally with everybody, or do the pitchers have preferences? How does that work?
It's kind of who we were assigned to. I mean, you kind of get the rotation guys kind of get Vasky or Plow or something, but it is very much bullpens, live VPs, everything like that. It's kind of whoever they assign us. So a lot of times, we get mixed in the group there, and it was an awesome experience, and learned a whole lot. So it was really fun.
Have you caught Nate?
I did, yeah. I got to catch him second game of spring training, so that was incredible. He's a phenomenal pitcher.
Did your hand hurt afterwards?
I mean, absolutely. So it is amazing. It was amazing to be a part of that, and he is so determined, has a plan every single pitch. But as good of a pitcher and competitor as everybody sees, he's way better. He's a better person. I mean, just an unbelievable guy. Just one of the best I've ever come across in baseball.
Have you? I know not this year, but have you caught Sale?
I have not. No, I have not. So he was in Portland about a week before I got there. So,
all right. So I have two more questions. I'm going to throw it on over to Ed. So one of them being, if you could face one pitcher, past or present, who would it be? And do you think you would be able to take him yard?
Oh man, for some reason, like Mariano Rivera, right? I just being able to see that and kind of see what he was doing, and man, I would love to say I could. So we'll see. I mean, it would be.
The answer is no.
I know, but blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. But no,
very true. Very true.
We'll see. But it would be unbelievable. Just to honestly, a lot of the pitchers, the guys that come to your mind back then, it would be so much fun, just very exciting.
So we know that there's been talks about like teams that aren't spending enough money, and then there's teams that are spending way too much money and things like that. Teams, like the Orioles who aren't spending any money, the A's who just literally spent their first dollar during the offseason, signing Jed Lowry, and who else they signed, Ed?
Steven Vogt.
Yeah.
Same deal, $850,000, exact same deal for each player.
Right. Do you believe that there should be a cap, like a ceiling and a floor?
That is an interesting question. So I think, you look at a team, you look on the other spectrum, you get the Dodgers or the Yankees, people at Mets even that are going to spend a bunch of money. So whether there is a actual ceiling or not. So I think, it was interesting, but it is unfortunate when you see some of those smaller market or even just teams that aren't spending as much, but you'd like to think that they have a plan and there's a reason for what they're doing. But, at the same time, you kind of look at it from an outside perspective, and you kind of question it. So I'm not really sure about whether there should be like hard floor, hard ceiling or anything like that. But, you kind of just hope there is something set for the betterment of baseball.
Ed?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm very excited to have you here for this because you're the. I started working for Sox Prospects in 2019. You're the first person I've gotten to talk to that's an active member of the SP60. So
awesome.
So this is also I have your baseball card. So this is like a
very cool.
first for me. So you were talking about before that you really grew up, that you grew up pretty active kid playing till sunset during the summer. At what point did you start playing more organized ball and realize like, oh, I could play high school, I could play Legion, I could play college? What was that development like for you?
So I grew up, my dad played baseball in college. My uncle played as well. So it was came from a baseball family. But, me and my brother, a bunch of neighborhood friends, like I said, my best friends back home kind of grew up just playing in the neighborhood a lot. So we just kind of grew up playing wiffle ball, playing, just playing catch, everything like that. I played rec league baseball until I was around like 12 years old or something, 11, 12, joined a local Knoxville travel team. So didn't travel a whole lot or anything, but we ended up having some really good players on that team. And then when I got a little bit older, probably 15, 16, got asked to play for a team out of Georgia. And, they were one of the top teams in the country. At the time, we have, a couple big leaguers from that team, a bunch of professional baseball players. So it was kind of, at that point, I was like, man, there could be something here, go back to high school ball, play pretty well. And then thankfully, Kentucky kind of took a chance with me. So it was I was a little slow to develop, to grow and everything like that. So it's kind of waited till college to really do that. But I was very fortunate for them. And so it kind of just took off from there.
How does that work as far as if you're in Tennessee and you're playing for a team in Georgia when you're, like 16? How does that work? Are you driving down there? Are they flying you out there?
So we were incredibly fortunate to be a part of this Georgia Roadrunners organization, and there were a few teams, but our team they had a house for everyone to live in. So it was, 15 to 17-year-olds living in a house. We had a couple adults that would just have to chaperone the house and everything, make sure we didn't burn it down as teenagers. But we had probably 12 people in a house, 14 people in a house, something along those lines. And it was just like you'd think. There was a couple big rooms. We'd have 6 to 8 beds in each room, a couple beds in another room. It was an unbelievable experience. So I would stay on there most of the summer, and we had some cages in a field in the backyard. So just an incredible opportunity to be a part of that place and, be a part of that history and everything. So that's kind of what kind of set me up for where I am today.
Are you still in touch with any of your teammates from there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually played against one the other day for the Orioles and talked to a bunch of them here and there. So it's been good.
So there's a lot of people that it's the baseball's really stuck and they've really been able to turn that into a career.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a very talented group.
Anybody else in the Red Sox organization?
Not that I can think of. No. So just a couple. Jahmai Jones with the Orioles. Yeah. Trey Cabbage he's with the Angels now. Kobe Vance, Marlins. We had a couple of big guys coming in and out. So I'm probably forgetting a few, but we definitely had a lot of good players.
Yeah, so that's got to be fun when you get to play those guys and just having that history. That's awesome. So did Kentucky recruit you? Were there a lot of colleges kind of competing to bring you in, or what was that process?
There weren't too many colleges. I was very thankful for the colleges that did talk to me and that did offer me some smaller schools, but Kentucky was the only really Power 5 school that offered me, and it was kind of it wasn't incredibly last minute or anything, but it was they had a couple of guys they were looking at, and then one day I got a phone call from Brad Bohannon, who's the Alabama coach right now, and he's like, "Hey man, we'd love for you to come here." So it was something that I'm forever thankful for, and something that changed my life. So I was very, very fortunate for that.
So your career at Kentucky is interesting because it looked like you took a real quantum leap between 2017 and 2018, when you went from a pretty good hitter to, I just look at your 2018 numbers, 352 batting average, 19 home runs, 667 slugging percentage. I mean, that's, it's college ball, but that's still pretty impressive, I think, for any level. And I know that you played in the Cape Cod League in between that. Did you find that the experience of playing there really developed you as a player?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you go when you're at school, you're in, college ball, you play unbelievable talent, you go up to the Cape and it's the best of the best from all over the country. So I think being able to kind of prepare yourself and, just kind of see how other people play and the talent of everybody else, it just pushes you to another level. So I think, I did have a good year my junior year. I learned a lot the first 2 years, and I'm forever thankful for my coaches and specifically Todd Williams, our hitting guy. He was an unbelievable. He's an unbelievable man, but also a great hitting coach. So he helped a lot, and my roommates in college, all of who played professional baseball and everything, they helped push me, and we pushed each other and kind of helped make each other better.
Did you what's it like playing in the Cape Cod League? Because it's a pretty big deal here in Massachusetts, and it's something that people really look forward to all summer. And you hear about there are like host families that'll take it, and you have lifelong relationships with them. Is that what was your experience in the Cape Cod League?
I had a great host family, so they and I still talk to them here and there. I probably should talk to them more, but they're unbelievable people. They opened their house to me, and it was a great experience. I think the league itself it lives up to the hype that everybody says. It is the best of the best in the entire country. So it was a very humbling, but also very, very much a learning experience, because I think you don't really get any off days there. Like you're facing great talent every single day and every single night. So it was, but it was a lot of fun too. It was all the guys were there for the same goal, but everyone had a good time. The fans were great. You could definitely see people go way out of their way to watch these games. So it was a great time, and it's something I'll never forget.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just for like people who are listening and whatnot, can you explain what a host family is? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but like for people who don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best way I would describe it would be that it's a family that gets in contact with the organization, the team, and they just open their home and take in a player, 2 or 3, how many ever they want. And so you have a place to live. A lot of times they'll make good food, and you can which is a great part too. But it's incredible experience, because you go into someone else's, they're just unbelievably selfless people. They open their home, they help you with whatever you need. Sometimes they have a vehicle, they have a boat, like anything that it's an unbelievable experience. But you basically just live with them for the summer or the allotted time of the season, and then it's a very interesting experience, but it's very good.
Yeah, I had one of the most incredible experiences I've had in the ballpark was in 2019. This was the last season for the Pawtucket Red Sox, and I was sitting kind of down the first baseline, and Alcides Escobar kept on coming out. He was playing AAA at the time, and he kept on talking to the family, and it was this old couple that was sitting right next to me. And I was like, I kept like, how do you know him? They're like, oh, well, he lived with us back when he was in Single A. And so did like Eric Hosmer would be coming over, Salvador Perez, all these guys from that championship Royals team. And they were still in touch with like all of them. And it was just like it was a really cool thing that even these years later, they were still in touch. And it gave me this real sense of a family, even though it's not by blood. So I've always thought that whole relationship is really just a really great thing that doesn't really, you don't really hear that many people talking about that. So you got drafted after that season, and you went in the 4th round. What was draft day like? Was it where you expected to be? Was it higher, lower? What's that thought process like?
Honestly, I wasn't really sure, and I don't think I still am. So it's it's just where I was fortunate enough to get drafted. I think, I went the 4 or 5 days leading up to the draft was an unbelievable experience. I went from Chicago to Boston to Arizona to San Diego just in 4 days, and just did a workout at all those places. And, I had a bunch of friends and family over, and it was just in the living room. We had the TV. It was on the stream. It was on the feed, because it wasn't televised. I don't think it was just on the stream. So, but the Twitter feed was a little bit ahead of the actual video footage. So right before the pick, all my buddies kind of get up and walk to the back of the room, don't say anything, and I start getting some phone calls, because obviously everyone's seen Twitter. I just keep turning it on, off, and I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be it. Hear the name, everyone goes kind of crazy. It was a very great time.
So you weren't nervous about that. You were just kind of there for the ride, it sounds like.
Well, I'm sure I was a lot more nervous than I would admit, but you know, it was a good day. So I think, you know, there were some phone calls all throughout, and it was a fun time. I think just being with my friends and family. You know, unfortunately, my mom was working that day, but you know, when she got off work, we had a great time. But you know, it was something that was very interesting. It was stressful, but in a very, very good way, because no matter what, like, you're just super excited to get to playing again. Because at that time, you know, I hadn't played in a couple weeks after the college season. You know, it was a very fun time.
Yeah, they moved you to Lowell very quickly. I was kind of surprised to see when I was looking at the numbers there. Oh, Brad has a question.
So, yeah, so about the draft and everything. Now, before you were drafted, did you end up getting phone calls from like different teams, or was it
Yeah.
just? Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe my agent did, just kind of got a few phone calls, I'm sure, throughout, but he kind of didn't really relay that to me unless it was basically the Red Sox. It was kind of you know, he would call me if it was a serious kind of offer, and then going from there. So it was interesting, but you know, I'm very thankful for him and having that open line of communication that day.
Okay.
Yeah. So how quickly did you move to Lowell? Like, was there any instructional camp or anything like that, or was it just kind of, hey, you're going straight to pro ball, short season A?
Yeah, I just went straight there. So I can't remember the day I got drafted, but it was no more than 2 or 3 days after that. I was on a flight to Boston, had a physical up there with a few other players. Thad Ward, Northcutt, I believe, was there as well. So we were up there for maybe 48 hours, and then drove over to Lowell, very short drive from there, and then had to wait there for a few days, get the physical, blood work, all that clear, and then start right up. So.
Oh man, so I'm huge Spinners fan. Very bummed out that they're currently not an active team. But yeah, no, I mean, I remember going there their inaugural season when I was really little, and just absolutely, you know, they just put on a great show for me. And what was that experience? Your first like real pro ball experience there? How was it hard to adjust to? Was it? Are you guys living in the dorms there at UMass Lowell, or?
Yeah. So we lived in the dorms there, and then, you know, had the availability of the cafeteria right across the hall, or right across the street. So that was great. But it was interesting, you know, going from college playing 3, 4, or 5 times a week, you know, max, to playing every day was interesting. You know, it was almost like the Cape, or even you know, I played in the Northwoods League the year before. It was kind of like one of those feels where, you know, you could be on the road for 14 days at a time, you know, you're home, and you leave at, you know, after the game, you're like, all right, we're leaving at 11:30, drive so far, and, you know, get there, play the next day. So it was a great time. I think, you know, it's something that I got my first real taste of pro ball there, and so kind of knew what to expect a little bit more, and still learning it today. But it's one of those things that you kind of, it's like the shock and awe factor. You know, you're kind of thrown into the fire there in a good way. It was a very good experience, and I think, you know, unfortunately Lowell is not here anymore, but you never know. So it was one of those things that I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. You know, you go to so many different places in minor league baseball that you probably would never go, you know, if you didn't play baseball there. So, you know, we had so many small towns, so many cities, everything like that. It was really, really neat to see, and kind of looking back on it now, you know, you go to these places that, you know, you create so many good memories that you probably would never have gone to had you not played minor league baseball.
Are there any places that come to mind when you describe that? Any small towns that you really you just think back fondly to?
You know, I don't know why it's not a small town, obviously, but Brooklyn. When we played up there, you know, that was the first time, you know, you're playing. You go to the pier, you go to the beach. You know, you see the city a little bit, and we had a little bit of, we might have had an off day or something in there as well. So it was, you know, you're traveling, you're playing. It was one of those times where you're like, you look back and you're like, man, like that was a really fun time.
Did you go to Coney Island while you were there? Because I mean, that's where the stadium's. My mom's from 2 blocks away. She grew up 2 blocks away from the stadium there. So
absolutely, yeah, we definitely went there. Yeah, we went there a few times, so it was a lot of fun. I think it must have been close to 4th of July. We missed the hot dog eating contest by a few days. So,
how many hot dogs could you eat?
I don't think I want to have that answer out there in the world, for the world to know, but I'd say a lot.
I'm just thinking of that study now where it's like for each hot dog you eat, it takes like a month off of your life or something like
Oh
that.
goodness. Well, I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that's not the case.
I think that the science is shady because I'm pretty sure I would be dead if it were true. So you've moved up pretty steadily. You made it up to Portland last year. Double A is where, from what I've generally heard, is that there's a big talent separation there, where the skill level between high A and double A, it's like a quantum leap. And you handled yourself pretty well there. You had a pretty solid offensive season at Portland. Did you notice there? Did you find the pitching there to be tougher? Did you find the competition overall to be stronger? What was your general outlook on that change?
Absolutely. I think there is a big jump there, on both sides of the ball. You have the good defense that, you're not going to get as many breaks. People have more range, stuff like that. Pitching wise, absolutely. I think, you start getting a lot more, guys that have played in the big leagues, guys that, are on their way up. It's a very middle ground there, but, I do think the competition and everything increases. So I think guys have way more feel for the ball. They know themselves a lot better. It's kind of one of those things where the competition makes you better as well. So I think, you're getting, it's kind of like I was kind of saying with the Cape, it's like you see all these good players, you have that idea of what you need to be doing. So you try to do it better. So I think it kind of makes, and that's the mindset I try to go in there with is, there are incredible players in our organization, other organizations. So it's kind of like finding what I can from everybody and then trying to figure out how it can make me better.
So building on being in Double A and everything, were you catching Jay Groom at all during his call up there?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I caught the first two and maybe the last one of the four starts, or two of the three, something like that. So I caught him in IA earlier that year a lot, and he certainly he had a good year as well down there. Again, just a learning experience, but man, he really put the foot on the gas there in Double A. So and he's been keeping up with that in spring training so far. So he's been really really exciting to watch, and he's going to be fun to watch this year as well.
Question for you. This is jumping back a year. So obviously we know that 2020 ended up getting canceled. Did that end up affecting you at all? Were you still playing, or let us?
Yeah,
Can you tell
I
us?
mean, absolutely. So I think, getting a season canceled, getting sent home from spring training was a horrible experience. I think, we were very surprised by everything, as everybody in the country was, in the world was. But I ended up playing for an independent team in Lexington. It was a Battle of Bourbon Trail league. So I played during that, was able to play, it was close to 40 games in the middle of the summer when nobody else was able to play. So I was incredibly fortunate for that experience. And, I was able to play in the city I went to college in, played there, and then had a bunch of buddies and friends, former teammates, current teammates with me there. So it was nothing short of incredible. And it was a whole lot of fun. Fans were there. My family could watch. It was a great experience.
That's awesome. Is indie ball, is the feel of indie ball and minor, just like the high A, low A, like what's the difference between those two?
I've never played like an actual season of independent baseball, but this summer was special. I think, it was similar to professional baseball in a lot of ways, and, and it wasn't at all either in a completely different outlook. So it was, a lot of professional players, a lot of guys that played in college, looking to go, to keep playing. And, there's former big leaguers playing in the league. So I think everyone kind of knew what, everyone wanted to do, but man, we were there to win, and it was a whole lot of fun doing it too. So it was a very stress-free, but very, very fun, very exciting atmosphere.
Who were some of the former big leaguers there?
Ben Revere, Brandon Phillips, Robbie Ross. So it was a great group of guys there. I'm sure there's a couple more, a bunch more I'm missing, but those were the first couple guys that come to mind. So
Yeah, a couple of ex-Red Sox there. Revere
yeah,
was
exactly.
I'd forgotten because he's still reasonably young. He's probably still out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think he's playing for the Lexington team as well, maybe like doing the hitting coach and playing kind of, player coach kind of deal. But it was great time playing with them, and a couple of guys that were been in now the Red Sox organization were with me there as well, and also just a bunch of Kentucky teammates and good friends. So it was a fun time.
So you ended last year with the Arizona Fall League. And that seemed, I mean, that first of all, like that's congratulations on the All-Star appearance and everything there. That's really, that must feel really cool to, I don't know, just to get recognized like that next to like Cassis and all these other names in the organization. But what is you're probably seeing a trend in my questions here, but what is the difference between, the Arizona Fall League versus playing in Portland? Is it more coaching based? Is it
It's warmer.
You're not wrong about that. The weather in Portland is tough to beat in the summertime, but the weather in Arizona is tough to beat in the fall in the wintertime. So it was different. It was very similar to AA. I would almost say it's like the Cape of the minor leagues. It's like, you bring all the guys out there, some of the best in the world, and play. And it's very similar. But at the same time, it's 40, how many ever games we played, 40, 30, whatever it was, we were all there to win, and I think develop, get better, have fun, but win. So I think it was a unforgettable experience. It was an incredible learning opportunity, but I think, when we went out there, we just tried to have fun. So I think that was kind of the best part about it all. I mean, everybody out there is crazy talented and great people. So I think, we try to make each other better, like push each other in ways, because, you get the 7-8 guys from your organization that well, and you get the X amount of guys from the other organization. So I think it's kind of just finding what works, pushing each other in ways that you might not be able to in season. So it's a little bit different, but a great opportunity.
I was reading that the walk rate was up pretty significantly there because of they were using like automated umpires, or is that what happened there?
They did only at one field, I believe Salt River, I think, was when they had home games, they were using the ABS. So I'm not really sure what happened with the walk rate, but I think that might have had something to do with it there, but overall I'm not quite sure.
That's got to be different though.
The automated strike zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little different. So I think, it's interesting. So it is a fixed point. So you kind of the feel for the umpire kind of goes out the window there. But, so there's a lot of calls that are very consistent and that are very good. And then, there's the occasional ones that you'll probably see on TV and stuff that, set up one way, misses the other side, or just like a really, really spun curveball that just bounces and hits the bottom of the zone. So it's interesting. I think, they are working to try to improve it and make it more realistic and consistent. So I think that is a positive. I'm not quite, I don't know if I'm sold on it, but I'm not against it completely. It's just kind of one of those things where, part of my job is to make the pitch look good and, try to trick the umpire. So if there's something that's pretty black and white, not letting me do that, it makes my job a little different.
Now, okay, so we have the robo, whatever we want to call it, right? And now the actual umpire, there's an umpire actually calling it, right?
Yes. So
somebody he can override. It's like an earpiece or something, and he can override it.
I don't know if he can override it. So I think they're telling him whether it is a ball or strike, and then he signals ball or strike.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan, but I think it's coming into the game in some capacity, whether we like it or not. But
yeah, one way or another, we're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to get rid of people like Angel Hernandez, and that's the reason why we're getting the robo umps. No comment on that, I guess.
Yeah, no comment on that one.
Oh man, so that's my line of questioning. I do have one other one though, and that's just I'm sure you've done a bunch of these, but what's one question that you haven't gotten asked that you would like people to ask you?
Oh, that's interesting. What's one question?
Do you like? I like your stash. So that's not a question, but it's a statement.
No, I appreciate it. It's the stash it's come a long way, so I appreciate that.
He's getting so much love for the stash. He's gonna shave it right afterwards.
Oh no, absolutely not. I did that right before my wedding this off season. I don't think I'll do that again.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm not. I don't have any more. Like I thought, Ed, you were gonna have some more questions here. I had a question and it just like disappeared off the top of my my dome piece here. So, well, Cole. I hope you have a great season. I'm gonna see you as long as you're with Portland and you come to Hartford. I'll be there. I'm definitely. I go to almost all the Portland Sea Dog games in Hartford. Obviously,
Perfect.
I can't make it up to Portland. A little hike there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I hope to see you there. Maybe we can meet in person. Ed, thanks so much. Actually, I did have something I wanted to ask you, and I just remembered it. Can you give us one of your funniest stories that pertain to being in professional baseball?
Oh my goodness. I don't know why I just thought of this, but it must be because we were talking about Brooklyn. But we were in Brooklyn in short season, and it was probably a couple hours before the game, and our manager was like, "Hey, like one of the guys was sleeping with headphones in, just like sleeping before the game. Like it's not abnormal, but it's a little different. But he had headphones in, so he's like, "Hey, everyone, just get out of the locker room, and I'm gonna run in because he was starting that day. He's like, I'm gonna run in and pretend and just be like, "Hey, you're on deck. Like, what are you doing?" So he runs in and freaks him out. He's not even dressed. He starts running outside, like doesn't even know what's going on. So we got him good on that one. I don't know why I thought of that, maybe because we were talking about Brooklyn and Lowell so much, but that was the first one that popped in my head.
And one more. So last year I got to see the Portland Sea Dogs, and your first baseman, Casas, right? Monster, right? Is your manager really as short as he looked?
For Portland last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey Wimberly. He's I mean, listen, he's small, but I mean I think he has some record for stolen bases in college. I know he set a number of records in professional baseball too, but he he's not the tallest, but he's pretty talented and everything else. So Cassis makes everyone look pretty small. So I think you put anybody up next to him, I think they're going to look pretty small.
What's your pop-up time?
Man, it's kind of lower when I'm trying in a game. It's a lot lower, but just practice probably around 2-0. Just kind of keep it nice and easy.
And I'm actually coming up with these questions like on the fly here. So I was getting ready to end the episode, and I keep coming up with more questions. So we see these catchers with the new stances where they're like one knee down. What's your preference? Are they teaching you guys to do that, or is it more like what makes you feel comfortable, like your hand behind your back? I've seen a couple times where a guy's been popped in the hand with his hand in front. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, very fortunate the Red Sox kind of let us do what we feel comfortable doing, but there is a big emphasis on the one knee down kind of receiving now, and that's all I do. 100% one knee's on the ground no matter what. Being a bigger catcher, it helps, give the pitchers a better look, and can help the umpires and everything. So it's kind of gets me lower to the ground, helps me kind of see and maneuver around there a little bit better. So I really like the one knee down style, but I think everyone's kind of, especially guys that have been around the league and have years and years of experience, kind of just they do what they feel most comfortable.
Now, what's the advantage of that? They were talking about there's an advantage of being able to catch the balls and things like that, frame it and things like that. You were saying, but like, does it take away from the defensive, like being able to like block a ball?
I would argue it helps because you're already on the ground. If you have to go from your like normal stance down to the ground and move or vice versa, you're already on the ground. You kind of eliminate one or two steps already. So it's kind of, as long as you can move laterally while you're on the ground, it helps blocking because you're already there. But I think getting your body lower, getting your head, eyes lower, everything kind of helps receiving and all that. But you're also not moving as much, so it kind of gives a better look for the umpire, better view for the pitcher, kind of stuff like that.
If you're not playing, do you watch the games?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And do you sit there and critique?
I wouldn't say as much critique as you try to just learn, right? Like, so I think as much as you guys know, like you can learn something new in every game of baseball. I think it's just something different. So that's what's unique about baseball. So as although it's 27 outs and so many rules that are everything set in stone, you learn so much by just watching the game. So I'm one of those guys. I could watch baseball all day. So I watch it on TV when I get home. It's kind of I love when you're playing, you have the best view in the entire world. But when you're on the bench, you're still pretty close to it too. You got to watch everything up close.
I've always thought it was funny. When I go to the Yard Goats out in Hartford, I have seats behind home plate, and I've always thought it was funny. Everybody knows there's the net there, and no matter what, you still flinch.
Yeah,
I think I've always found that funny. So, last two questions. One of them might be a little hard to answer, but what is one disadvantage of being a catcher, and what is an advantage of being a catcher?
The advantage absolutely is you get to see so many pitches and you're in every play. So I think, being able to, nothing starts until the pitcher throws the ball. And so being on the receiving end of that, you are absolutely involved in every play, like, before it even starts, calling the pitch, after it's thrown, everything like that. So everything kind of stops and starts with you and the pitcher. So you're kind of involved in everything. You see a lot. You learn, like I said, you kind of learn a lot just by sitting back there and just the countless amount of extra reps of seeing baseballs. And you get to meet and have relationships with so many different people. As a normal position player, you might not have that same relationship with a pitcher or a pitching coach or anything like that. So you kind of see everybody, kind of see all different aspects, everything like that. A disadvantage, that one is the tough one. I think you were 100% there for the pitcher, and you were there to help the team win in that aspect. So I think sometimes you might not get extra reps hitting or anything like that, but it is. Although that might be a disadvantage, it becomes an advantage when you look at it defensively. So it's kind of the catch-22 there, but also works that way.
And I lied. That wasn't the last two.
I've got a couple questions I've been holding on to. So,
oh, go ahead.
So what does game planning look like for you? Does it change as you move up through levels? Does it get more complicated, or does it kind of stay the same whichever level you're at? What goes into that for you?
I think yes and no. I think the higher you go up, the more availability you have to the analytics and the data, and the more reps or the more data you have on everybody, because everybody else has played as much. So, you have more pitches and more just data on other people. But, I think taking the data and everything is very similar too, because you are, like I said before, earlier in the episode, we're learning, we're using it and everything, but you kind of get to the game and you kind of just trust your instincts, trust your eyes, everything like that.
Of all the people that you've caught, what's the single most devastating pitch you've gotten to call for somebody? Like, is it like Broom's slider or something like that? Like, what's the single most dangerous pitch you've gotten to call?
Oh man.
Up and in.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think, but Brandon Walter's slider, there was a day in Hickory that he just made everybody look so silly. That's the pitch that kind of sticks out to me a little bit. like I said, I'm sure I'm missing one, a pretty obvious one there, but no, that's probably one of the nastiest pitches I've seen.
I've seen some videos of that guy, and it looks like that. Does it look that much like a wiffle ball when you're catching it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Looks like you there?
Yep, I got you.
Okay. Ask again, Ed.
Oh, does it look like a wiffle ball when you're catching it? So that's what it looks like on film.
Absolutely. I think being able to throw a fastball that moves as much as him, and the changeup and slider kind of makes everything look like a wiffle ball. So,
all right, promise it's my last question. No, it's not. Do you have a ritual, something that you do before a game?
Not as much a ritual as just routines. I think, I kind of sit on the bench and read my notebook and kind of just like sit there with my thoughts and everything, and then go do the same stretching and warm up routine and everything like that. So not as much a ritual. I can't really think of anything, but more just routine based.
I was so hoping you'd say, before I go up to bat, I swing it 13 times.
No, maybe you said that I might start it, but no, probably nothing too crazy. So,
all right, cool. Thanks so much for coming on and giving us some of your time. We wish you the best of luck in Portland this year. Hope to see you as well. Ed, as always, it was a pleasure. Everybody else, take it easy.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pesky Report. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.